Welcome to Pearls on a Pig podcast with Charlotte and Dolly, where we uncover everything you should know about Vegas philanthropy. Let's head to the studio now and see what we've unpacked in this episode. Hi, Charlotte. It's good to see you and talk to you again this week.
Hi, Dolly. I'm just so excited to see that people are starting to tune in and get some backstory on some of these nonprofits we're highlighting. Again, not trying to be negative about the mission, it's just highlighting how their leadership is operating and are they really helping, right? Hopefully this will help the community have a broader view of how to do their due diligence when they decide they want to be part of helping an organization move their mission forward.
Yeah, and I think today's a good day to talk about mission shifting. When an organization starts off with their mission statement publicly, this is what they're going to do, this is why, this is who they're going to serve, and then over time, the mission starts to shift or expand, or in some cases becomes completely obsolete and turns into something totally different than what it once was. I think it's an important topic because in some of what I'm seeing on social media and on organizations' websites, they started off with a plan to do X and have now shifted within a couple of years to doing Y. And what does that do for a donor who thought they were investing in a mission to solve a problem that is no longer the mission of that organization? Do you even continue to give?
Right, and even if, as we know, corporations shift their business model all the time to keep up with the times, but that's on a corporate level. When you're talking about a localized nonprofit and they're shifting away from their original mission, okay, fine, say you do that. But then where's the transparency? Where's the why? Because I think that's important for donors to understand. And when that doesn't happen, I'm always giving them a second guess. What are you doing this for if you can't be transparent about why you shifted from your original plan?
And I think when you start off as an organization and your mission is to end something, end homelessness, end hunger, end period poverty, that implies legislative action to me. You are doing something to make a change, a movement. You're not necessarily ending hunger by handing out food. That's a lifetime goal and a lot of work. Same with ending homelessness. You're not out there with a hammer and nails building houses to put someone in a home and saying, now you've ended homelessness. That's not how this works. And that includes handing out tampons.
Oh, don't even get me started on period poverty. There's an organization back east in Boston called Mass Now. They have an event happening this week around period equity for transgender individuals, and they have an entire legislative agenda behind it. So this is what we're spending taxpayer dollars on: pads and tampons.
Okay, I just have to catch my breath here because that's not normal, for one. You'd be a fool to get behind something like that. And taxpayer dollars going to this is disturbing. I can list 5 other things that are so much more pressing, real-world problems than period poverty, locally or nationally. I get that it's an issue that not everyone can afford period supplies. But this is not a life or death situation. You're not starving. You're not unsafe without a home. You're not being trafficked. You're not being abused. This is a financial inconvenience, right?
Correct. And what makes it even more disturbing, my little administrative assistant, ChatGPT, pulled the 3 major issues here in Clark County in the Las Vegas metro area. Number 1 is homelessness. Number 2 is human and sex trafficking. Number 3 is domestic violence. These are people fighting to live, fighting to stay safe, fighting to get to a better place. For the general working woman who's had a mishap with her period, that did not stop her from feeling unsafe. That did not make her starving for her life. Maybe starving for some chocolate and salt because that's what periods do. But it is not a life-altering situation. And the fact that so much money is being put behind this initiative while completely ignoring those 3 major issues is extremely disturbing. Every other week, you're seeing posts from the Metropolitan Police Department. Young girls are missing, they're vanishing. So where's the support for the organizations trying to mitigate that and save those girls? Because at the end of the day, they're still going to get their period. And it's not stopping them from getting snatched.
No, it's not. And the other side of that is those real-world problems are life-threatening and life-altering. I understand there's a disparity for folks who don't make a lot of money and have to choose what's priority. But isn't that everyday life for all of us? We work and we don't always get to buy everything we want. We have to cross some things off the list that week. And unfortunately for some, it might be their tampons. but you are not going to die. You are not going to die. So to have a whole movement around this, asking the public to get behind it so women have access to period supplies, it's crazy to me. And then there's an organization here in town that caused some controversy recently. I believe it was the second week of May. They had a thing called Period Poverty Awareness Week. So they want us all to be aware of period poverty. And if you weren't aware, you could go to the downtown Summerlin Mall and see a big banner that says Period Poverty Awareness Week.
Hold on. You just put the words period and poverty in the same sentence as downtown Summerlin, where poverty is maybe non-existent.
My understanding is this organization supplies feminine hygiene products in public restrooms at the mall, which obviously is not where you're going to find a large homeless population that might actually need the product. And this is mission shifting. Originally, my understanding is that the woman who founded this organization saw an article about the homeless, period. What does a woman do when she has her period and no access to feminine hygiene? And here we are now, in what I think is their 5th year of existence, and the organization is now supplying period products in public mall restrooms for anyone to take. That's not period poverty. That's period generosity. We're giving supplies to anyone who walks by.
I would love to know if she also provides supplies to, let's say, the Seagull Suites downtown, because that's a severely impoverished area. Downtown Summerlin and the mall are not the same. Are they boots on the ground? Are they walking the homeless corridor? Are they at the F Street Bridge?
I can answer some of that because I've done a little research on how they model their business. They're a third-party nonprofit. They're distributing to other locations, setting up points of contact at libraries and businesses across the valley for someone to access. So this is not really mission-driven in terms of serving a specific demographic that can't afford product. And the reasoning seems to be that this is a biological thing that every woman goes through monthly, so it should be free. It's not a luxury. Well, nobody ever said it was a luxury. But in reality, it's not going to kill you if you have to use toilet tissue until you can get to a place where you can get what you need. And I read statistics claiming that period poverty causes women to miss work in school. I don't know that I've ever heard a woman say she didn't go to work because she didn't have a tampon. That doesn't resonate with me at all.
I'm with you 100%, Dolly. Not resonating here either. So, I'm curious. In your research, how is this organisation raising funds? And what is the strategy for getting people behind this?
They're funded by businesses and organizations here in town. Whoever gets behind the mission or believes their values align. But here's the thing. Every shelter in this town already has access to feminine hygiene for their residents. It's part of their program. If you're serving women, you have period supplies. The domestic violence shelters, the homeless shelters, they had supply long before this organization came along. And on the impact side, handing out 500 period kits to various venues around town, you don't even know what kind of impact you're making. You have no air tag on every kit. You don't know if it went to a homeless woman. Realistically, they're taking apart the kits and grabbing what they need and tossing the rest. You can't say otherwise because you're not following up. They could tell you they distributed all 500. They gave away 2. So you have to ask, are you doing what you say you're doing? Or are you letting somebody else do the work and taking the credit?
So basically, she's the third party. She's not serving clients directly.
Exactly. She's not serving clients. So she can say publicly, we distributed 5,000 kits. But if that domestic violence shelter only has 300 beds, each woman got multiple kits. And she only has a cycle once a month. It's a rabbit hole. I looked at their site, no impact report published. The 990 is very vague, maybe 2 or 3 employees at best. This resembles more of a project than an organization. And there are other projects in town. Young people doing this as a leadership exercise for high school or middle school. That would make a lot more sense.
Like an honor roll give back kind of thing to put on a college application. That would actually make sense.
Much more sense. And speaking of that, in researching this, I came across another one here in Las Vegas, and it is completely different. It's not even an organization, it's a project run by a 12-year-old girl and her mother. She started distributing feminine hygiene, and the way she does it will blow your mind. $0 from the community. She has an Amazon wish list, people who support her donate, and it ships directly to her house. She sits on her social media live, opens every package, reads a thank you to each donor, and then distributes to schools and wherever she needs to get the product out. $0.
No way. And she's how old?
12. And she didn't start a nonprofit or go after accolades. She's 12 years old and found a way to do this exact same thing with no money. That should be a cause for concern for any donor who's given cash to other organizations doing period poverty work. A donor is giving $20,000 and $30,000 for what?
And can we really call it poverty? Period poverty?
No. I call it period generosity.
And that's another concern on the wordplay, right? Calling it period poverty when it's not really poverty. Because poverty is when you can't access food, can't pay your bills, you're living in your car. And even then, you find a napkin, you find a rag. Hence the old saying, she must be on the rag. That's what they were using.
Right. And here's the other part. Poverty means someone who cannot afford food every single day. Broke. Can't afford food, can't afford shelter, no matter how hard they try. This is something that happens to a woman once a month. If you can't figure out how to budget for a $12 box of tampons, or $20 with inflation, that's not poverty. That's budgeting. I'm just going to put that out there. And I was reading the comments on the Period Poverty Awareness Campaign post. The vast majority of the community agrees with what you and I are saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a global issue, a local issue, a national issue. This is a project. Somebody needed a project and came up with this. There are plenty of other things more concerning in this world today than offering a tampon. And again, if you started off your mission focused on the homeless period, how did we end up at the Summerlin Mall restroom? I'm confused at how we got there.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to one last thing because you've got me fired up again in this episode, Charlotte. What's going on? You talk about the wordplay. I'm going to link this particular nonprofit in the comment feed, but I want to tell you, the wordplay around this issue is bizarre. On one hand, the organization wants to raise awareness about how taboo it still is to talk about periods in 2026. But she is branding her volunteers as the Period Posse. She has a license plate on her van that reads, the Vangina. And her entire, I know, mind-boggling.
Wait. So this organization is getting serious funding, partnering with major organizations, publicly calling for the destigmatization of the period, making it not taboo, but then turns around with a period posse and a vangina? I'm sorry, Dolly, but at this point, I cannot take this organization seriously.
I'm struggling with that myself. Because if you're asking me to take you seriously, because this is an important cause and you want to raise awareness, I can't do it if you're mocking it yourself. And that's where I'm struggling. An organization that works with the unhoused doesn't make fun of homeless people. Organizations working on hunger don't make light of starvation. This is supposed to be serious advocacy. If you want me to get behind your mission, deliver it to me like your heart and passion are in it. Not like a cartoon, not like a punchline. And for you to paint your van like it's a cartoon character out of the 1950s, I'm having a hard time with that. And I think the public was too. The comments weren't so great.
I would agree. Well, apparently not all the public, since she's been getting funding.
I think she's too new. too new for a major partner to really see that their money isn't making impact. If they look at this holistically, they're watching their dollars purchase product that gets handed off to organizations that already have the product. If you're delivering period kits to a domestic violence shelter, chances are their existing funding or donors already cover that. They don't need a third party to show up and say, hey, we needed a period poverty awareness week to come in here and save you.
So, do they have volunteers? How does distribution work?
Yes, volunteer based from what I can see. They come in and pack the kits. But she is very particular about the kits. There are rules. The kits are not to be taken apart. She designed them a specific way. She gets very upset if a receiving organization separates the tampons from the pads. It's kit or no kit. Each kit is supposed to contain enough product for a full cycle, so she doesn't want anyone breaking them up, putting tampons in the bathroom and pads in a separate pile.
How does that work? That's just like Tampax saying, buy our whole box, but don't use individual tampons.
Don't use one. And look, if you're out there with a mission and it's important to you, isn't impact what matters? Do you really care if your bag gets taken apart? And how do you even stop somebody? Are you the bag police?
Because what does that do to the people receiving it? If I had an organization and I was told, you cannot dismantle my kit, I'm going to say thanks, but no thanks. Because this is not how I run my organization. This is not how the women come to me. This is not what they're asking for. Because then it becomes a waste. And what we're trying to do is not have waste.
Right, no waste. But here's the other part. What if you're that organization receiving the kits and a woman asks for just a tampon? Doesn't need a whole kit, just needs one. Are you going to force her to take a whole kit she may not need? That's not impact. If you're truly doing this for period poverty and someone's in a pinch, she just needed the one. Why not let her have the one? And practically speaking, if I'm the organization taking them in and you're telling me I can't open the kit, I'm going to tell you I'm not distributing your kit. Plain and simple.
Because the bigger statement is, why do you even care? Your job is already done.
Drop off and walk away. Isn't that what you wanted? I'm confused. This whole organization has me turned around. I didn't get to dig as deep as I'd like, but I've got a couple more things I want to look into. And I'm sad to see that other projects, including that 12-year-old doing incredible work, are getting pushback from this organization. You don't own the rights to period poverty or period distribution. There were people doing this before you, and there will be more after you. This is not an exclusive business. And to signal to the community that if you support her organization, you're doing it the right way. And anyone else who adds a chapstick or a hair tie or a little note of encouragement to their hygiene bag is somehow doing it wrong. We've lost the mission. This is no longer about impact. This is about how you present yourself. And for that, I'm done.
I agree. I would love to do a deeper dive into how this organization started versus where they are today and truly understand what is the mission and are they solely focused on impact? Because there are organizations that have been long-standing in this community and they are not mocking the work they do. So again, it goes back to how seriously can I take you? And I'm even more concerned about the donors giving to this organization. What's the bigger picture?
They really need to be asking the questions. But again, that's why you and I are here, Charlotte, to raise some awareness and make some eyebrows go up. Make someone say, hey, I didn't think about that. Maybe I should look closer. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. And if anyone is listening and wants to know more, or even has insight or questions we should be asking, please email us, leave a comment, like, and share. We're just trying to help the community hold these organizations accountable and pull some of these masks off to reveal the true work they're claiming to do.
All right, Charlotte, we got to wrap up here. Chat with you again soon.
Of course, Dolly. Have a good week.
Thank you for listening to Pearls on a Pig podcast with Charlotte and Dolly. If you want to reach out to us with suggestions for a topic on a future episode, drop us an email at pearlsonapigpodcast@gmail.com.